In this video, I'm going to go into detail about the day the music died for me as an Amazon seller, and also how you should never tempt the fate of those Amazon gods, because that stuff will come back and bite you in the bum for sure. But before I do, and I tell you a little bit more about one of the worst Amazon selling days of my life, I just want to welcome you to the Nevermind the Buy Box YouTube channel. This is your go-to channel for all the top tips, tricks, and hacks when it comes to selling on Amazon and skyrocketing your e-commerce businesses. Before we get started, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe. We release brand new videos every single week, as well as our weekly podcast where we interview Amazon sellers. We talk between Amazon sellers about the latest Amazon news and everything that's going on in the world of e-com. So let's dive in. What happened and why was it so bad? So this is what happened. After 7 years of selling on Amazon, we were deactivated out of nowhere. We've sold in different marketplaces. We've sold various different models, and we'd never had an issue. And then all of a sudden, boom, literally, I received this email above. First of all, the Amazon Canada marketplace came through saying that our Amazon .ca selling privileges had been removed, and then I think it was a couple of minutes later the Amazon.com, which is the US platform on which we sell. Now, what was even worse at this time was the fact, I'm sorry, I'm laughing about it now because it's the only thing I can do. There was two kind of funny things that had happened at the time, which was, one, I was on a live in front of about 50 people. I was literally on a live webinar, and I've got a setup where I've got, a few different screens running at once. And I made the mistake. So this is top tip number one, guys. Whenever you go live on anything, do not make sure that you have like your email open, put do not disturb. Don't have anything that you can access to, that if something's going to throw you off or you potentially could get some bad news, don't be like me. So I'm on this live and I see this pop up. Can you imagine the fear and the dread that went through me at this moment in time? I'm on a live, I'm presenting some training. I was teaching people about unique bundles, and literally I look over to the screen and this pops up. And I had about 90 minutes left on the live to continue to do that. And I didn't know what happened. I was trying to sort of look at it and read it. The email that had come through at the same time, I didn't put do not disturb on my phone either as well. So I literally had from the app, your account has been deactivated, all the time while I'm on this live. And literally, I must say, I whether it was shock, whether it was, I don't know, whatever got me through, the training, I managed to get through, the training, and, literally, I don't know how I did it, managed to get through the training, and then literally, as soon as I come off the training, contacted my husband, who of course had also seen the email, in the meantime as well, and was literally like, I was like, what the hell has happened here? Why have we been suspended? Now, I'll come into that in a moment. As you can see, the email is, I've pictured the email to do with the suspension, the deactivation, I should say, sorry. But when I was talking about in the intro to this video, I was talking about don't tempt the Amazon gods. Literally, actual proof, actual evidence of me the week before speaking with Anne Williams from Get Unsuspended, talking about how you can unlock the secrets of a healthy Amazon account health, and how everything that you shouldn't do in order to get suspended. And a week later, we got suspended. You couldn't make it up. It was like I was tempting the Amazon, gods. I was literally tempting fate with it all. So, you'll never hear me say anything like that on a live again for sure. So, I'd done the live, come off the live, like I said, literally spoke about it with my husband, what the hell had happened. So let me talk you through what our specific scenario was. It's quite an unusual one, actually, ours, because we are very due diligent. We do everything we can. We keep our account health good. And I do stand by the fact, go and have a look at that video with Anne. We talk about everything in the video about how to keep your account healthy. So it's definitely worth a watch. So once you finish watching this one, giving it a thumbs up and a good comment, then go and watch that one afterwards. But the actual deactivation was a little bit unusual in the sense that, as we were reading it, I didn't really understand it. And you can kind of see there through the graphics, it says your accounts, your Amazon.com. This account we don't sell in Canada, so I wasn't really hugely bothered about the Canadian account. But I will say, obviously, if something like this happens, this is a unified account anyway. So if something like this happens, you don't want to leave, even if you're not using an account. So this is really good advice if you're selling in the UK and Europe. Even if one of your European marketplaces gets deactivated and you do not sell on it, you never really want to leave a marketplace deactivated, because when you go and apply for maybe new accounts in different marketplaces, global marketplaces, if you apply for things like brand registry, that type of thing, having a deactivated account, regardless of whether it is and whether or not it's active and you're using it, can actually go against you. So although we weren't worried about it being deactivated, we had no money, we weren't selling anything in Canada, it was one of those ones that of course we were always going to have to get that one reinstated as well. But when your Amazon.com gets suspended, your Amazon.ca, i.e. Canada, gets suspended as well. So we were reading the email, and as you can see here, I've only shown part of the email, obviously blurred out all the personal bits. So what was really handy in a way about the suspension was it was a Section 3 suspension. So we'd previously experienced a deactivation before, but it wasn't down to a Section 3. So a Section 3 is bad. Basically, that is, you've been deactivated because you've done something naughty. Whereas any other type of deactivation, the one that we've experienced was like a verification deactivation down to, bank details or business address or UTR numbers or limited companies, that type of deactivation. They're two very different deactivations, although they have the same effect. But obviously there's different levels of consequences for both. So this was a Section 3. So that's what Amazon deemed to be the most important level of naughtiness, essentially. So the highest level of whatever you can do wrong. And it covers a wide variety of different areas. So most people associate Section 3 with drop shipping, which is obviously something that you can't do. You can do it, but can't do it in a certain way. I'm not going to get into that argument, guys. But most people associate it with drop shipping, but it can be anything for a high level of naughtiness. So it could be manipulating documentation. It could be connected to a previously suspended account. It could be review manipulation. It could be drop shipping violations. It could be there's a few different things, and there are different types of levels of deactivation, but Section 3 covers a few different areas, but it's definitely the worst. So this was a Section 3, and when it had come through and it said, why is this happening? You have a separate account, which we do have separate accounts of Amazon. Yes, we do. And it detailed the name of that, which obviously I have blurred out for privacy. You have a separate account, detailed that account, which was enforced for violating one of our policies, which was suspended, essentially, this other account. And you may no longer use the LLC that we've been using to sell on Amazon.com. So obviously reading that, the first section, which obviously you can't see, but you have to take my word for it, the account that it connected to us to wasn't our account. It had nothing to do with us. It was a completely different seller's account. So very quickly we realized that, okay, we've been suspended, but we've been incorrectly connected to another seller's account who had been deactivated, and that person had been deactivated presumably for a section 3 for another reason for Amazon, and you know, we don't know whatever the reason was, but we knew that it wasn't our account. So I mean, it goes on to talk about, I didn't put the whole email, it goes on to talk about, you know, how you can appeal and all of these different types of things. So, you know, in a way, yes, it was a massive shock when it came through. But of course, there was a little bit of relief almost immediately, because I knew that we had been kind of unfairly deactivated. There wasn't anything that we'd done. But as a caveat to that, I have been around the block too many times. I've been selling on Amazon for too long. I've been dealing with people, you know, that sell on Amazon, clients, friends, people in our communities. And I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. It's not just a case of ringing up Amazon and saying, well, that's not us. And even if you could prove completely that you had nothing to do with this, they might not even accept it, because that's just the way Amazon is. Now, you know, we were quite open about this at the time. You can see this happened back in March, by the way. I meant to say that at the start, but I've only just got over the trauma, so I only feel comfortable talking about it now. No, I wanted to, you know, I wanted to make a video about it, and this is the first time I've really got round to being able to do it. So I want to talk about the process of what happened, spoiler alert, in terms of getting reinstating, which I'm quite happy to say at this stage we were able to do, and we were able to do quite successfully and quite quickly because of the actions that we'd taken. But just as an extra caveat, you can see there in big red letters as well, you know, part of the panic of why this came through is because at that time Amazon were holding like 30 grand of our money as well. And when you have this type of deactivation, as much as Amazon say in the email that they might release the payment after 90 days, they do not. They absolutely do not. I know people that have had their accounts deactivated 2 years later, Amazon is still holding the money. And whilst for this particular account we are not reliant on the money for it, let's face it, who wants 30 grand held up that you don't know when you're going to get access to, if at all, you know, because at this stage, there's no guarantee that you're going to be, you know, reinstated. That could be money down the drain. Yes, of course, we would have taken, you know, different types of actions if that was going to be the case, if we were not successful in our reinstatement. But I do believe the reason why we were so successful in our reinstatement in the time frame that we did it is because of the actions that we took. So I'm going to talk about those in particular, and hopefully if you find yourself in this type of scenario and you've watched this video, that it will give you hopefully a little bit of reassurance that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So this is pretty much my checklist of what happened with our deactivation, and, you know, formed the basis of the road to reactivation on our Amazon.com seller account. So the first thing I didn't do is I definitely didn't panic. So I made myself, you know, after the initial dread of maybe it was a good thing that I was on the live at the time, I don't know, but one thing is for sure, I didn't panic. I know full well when it comes to and being an experienced seller and selling on Amazon, that I know that with this type of thing, there is no point in giving any type of, you know, knee-jerk reaction or anything like that whatsoever. I'm not an account suspension specialist, so I'm not going to go into all those various different reasons as to why there's no point in doing that. Essentially, you just got to take my word for it. It's not going to get you anywhere. And actually, believe it or not, if there's actions that you take, you know, it can actually really set you back. So that's why I definitely recommend going back and watching that video with Anne from Get Unsuspended, because we talk about a few of the things that are in there. So I'll make sure the link to that video also goes in the comments here, in the comment section as well. So I definitely didn't panic. Yes, I was upset. Yes, I was concerned about the money as well, because like I said, who wouldn't be, you know, 5 figures, good 5 figures worth of money in no man's land. You don't know where it's going to be, essentially. So, and you don't know how long it's going to take as well. So it's not just the impact of that. The concern forms initially for the money that's in there, but then you start to think, okay, well, we're actually getting some really good traction on this account now. And, you know, we're doing X amount of profit for, you know, per day. If I'm out for 6 weeks on that, that's all gone. And I've got 50 grand's worth of stock sat in there. And, you know, it's in a foreign marketplace as well. So, you know, what are the consequences of that? And your mind kind of snowballs a little bit from there. But importantly, like I said, I didn't panic. One, because we are not reliant on this stream of income. So I know that that's going to be a little bit harder for someone to understand that is relying on, you know, as their full income of having like one Amazon marketplace or one selling channel. So my top tip, first of all, is create another one, because it's happened to me too many times in business where I've been reliant on one income stream. It's happened to me 3 or 4 different times in different businesses, you know, whilst we've been, you know, responsible for our own lives, i.e. in the world of self-employed entrepreneurship. So I won't go into all the reasons and different reasons, but again, it's happened too many times to us in the past, and we've done a lot of work over the last 5 years in particular, probably 5 to 7 years, about ensuring that we are not reliant on just one income stream. So from that point of view, all the lights were going to stay on. I was still going to be able to put, you know, food in my kids' bellies. I was going to be able to pay the mortgage. I was going to be able to keep the lights on. So from that point of view, I didn't panic, because I knew as well that I've got a strong intuition and understanding of selling on Amazon. And I know, and you have to think like this in the darkest moments of selling on Amazon. I say this quite a lot in our Facebook groups, which if you're not a member of, you know, I'll put the link down below as well. And I talked about this a lot at the time. I was very transparent about the suspension at the time in the Facebook groups and on, you know, videos in Nevermind the Buy Box as well. Because I think it's important, especially if people, you know, if you're creating content, you're training people to talk about these type of things, because the bigger the seller you get, the more chance that this is going to happen to you, to be perfectly honest. You know, there's no point sticking your head in the sand about it. So I have this understanding that everything is resolvable on Amazon for the relentless. Okay, so what that means is you can't give up. It might not be fair. You know, you might be fighting against the system. You might be having to contact someone 78 times before you get a result. But you literally, there is nothing that is not resolvable on Amazon. And I mean that genuinely. I used to think that you used to get final suspensions. I used to think that they would say no to you and that would be it. You would never be able to have anything coming back. But I've learned over the years it's not to do with that. It's to do with the communications that you have with Amazon and your resilience as well. So if you are not prepared to give up, then you will always be able to resolve any circumstance on Amazon. You know, even some really bad stuff, you know, that I've seen people get suspended for, because they haven't given up and they've done what Amazon has asked and they've begged forgiveness and they've sacrificed themselves to the Amazon gods. You know, they've got through it essentially. So I knew that, you know, with not only having all of my eggs in this one Amazon basket, and with a combination of knowing that it was going to be resolved, I didn't know how long it was going to take. And that's where the concern was because not only did we have money tied up, we had stock in the US prep centers, a high value of stock as well. And we didn't know how long the income was going to stop. What effect was this going to have on this particular income stream? How long was it going to take to resolve? So that was where the concern came from. Of course, I was concerned, but I looked at it more with concern and annoyance that I was going to have to dedicate a lot of time to sort this out. But first and foremost, I didn't panic, and I've put myself a little cup of tea there because when you're English, or when you're from the UK, what else can you do? Keep calm and have a cup of tea, and that's what we did. And we talked about what we were going to do. But the next thing I did was whether or not it was fate, whatever way you want to look at it. The previous week I'd had Anne Williams on from Get Unsuspended, so I contacted her straight away, literally with the opening line of, "You will not believe what has just happened to me." And we had a little bit of a laugh about it, to be perfectly honest, because we were like, can you believe it? So I spoke to Anne, hired Get Unsuspended, who are a account recovery team for suspension specific to Amazon. And I hired the guys from Get Unsuspended because I'm not an account health specialist. I'm not a suspension specialist, and I'm a firm believer in, when you're at a certain point in business, that you don't try and be all things to all people. If something like this serious happens within my business, I'm going to engage a specialist. It's as simple as that. Just like if someone wants to hire me to teach them about bundles, I'm that specialist kind of thing. So I tell other people to hire me because I've got a proven track record and everything like that. And I knew that was the case with the team at Get Unsuspended. So, I was never not going to contact them. So I actually engaged them to write and hired them to write the appeal for me, which was the process of what we needed to go through. Now, with Anne's advice, the next step was we pressed the contact me now button on account health, which you can see here. And do you know what? It's one of the best things you can do. So many people are scared to push that button, but we actually got a really helpful person on the phone, confirmed what we talked about, with Anne, and we said to the account health team member that we definitely had no connections to this seller. Ironically, I knew who the seller was, so because obviously we did a company check and things like that, found out who the seller was, but I didn't actually know the seller. I'd just seen them in Facebook groups and things like that. So I didn't contact them because it's one of those things that they weren't talking about the fact that they've been suspended, and I didn't want to, embarrass anyone or let them know that I knew something or whatever. For whatever reason, they, believe it or not, couldn't actually help me. So I didn't see the point of contacting them anyway. But what I will say is, if you do find out, if this happens to you, I had another way that I was going to get round it, so I didn't feel the need to contact the seller. But if it does happen to you, do feel free to contact the seller, because you will need some evidence to be provided to prove that there is no connection with you in a case like this. So that's pretty much what the account health specialist said, that we'd almost need to put forward our case. What we would need to do is we would need to form a plan for our appeal. We would need to gather evidence.
Your claim should have, evidentiary support.
And then we would need to submit that appeal, all with the guidance and help of Get Unsuspended, who actually wrote our appeal for us. You have to prove that you are not connected to the account that you've been connected to. There's a couple of reasons that you could be connected through a prep center. You could be connected through third-party access. You could be connected through a VA. You could be connected through a service or anything like that. So what we did straight away, we set about gathering evidence. And every prep center that we used, we got a letter from them saying that we had no connection to this particular seller, that they were, a particular client at this prep center as well, but we had absolutely nothing to do with it. We printed off all this person's company details. We put them next to our own company details. We proved that there was no connection between the two. We weren't mutual directors. We were not connected. We put forward all of our email addresses as well, where there could have been a connection via a VA. We got all of our VAs to supply their email addresses to us to prove that if we had used a mutual VA or someone on a mutual VPN, that the connection could have been made that way. We actually submitted, I think in the end, about 4 or 5 different ways that the connection could have occurred digitally to this other seller. Now, I don't know which one worked. I don't know whether it was the letter from the prep center. I don't know whether it was supplying the VA details. I don't know if it was to do with the proving that there was no connection from a company's house point of view. I don't know which one actually worked. Amazon don't tell us that. But what we actually did was, as part of that appeal, we laid out that evidentiary support, and we made it clear and concise as to all of the reasons how we could not be connected to this particular seller. And we went through it back with drafts, 2 or 3 times with Get Unsuspended. I think the first one maybe didn't have like the VA details in. It didn't have as much. We actually, full transparency, we submitted, I think we submitted 2 or 3. I can't remember. So let's just say 3 for argument's sake. The first one we submitted the appeal. It came back very quickly. It was just, like a straight decline, as in you've not been approved. The second one, we put a little bit more evidence in terms of, I think we had the prep center kindly. This is why, guys, always make sure that you're working with good people that are happy to support you in your business. Our prep center, the ones that we used, were more than happy to provide a letter saying that there was no connection between us, although that we may have been connected digitally or whatever. They were, more than happy to do that. If you are signing up to a prep center, those are some of the questions that you can ask. Do your due diligence, essentially, and if they're not prepared to provide you that in your hour of need, that could be a little bit of a red flag. So whatever, for the second or third email, but whatever one went through, it was either the second or the third. I really genuinely can't remember. But all I remember was, I think we submitted it on the Friday. So by this time, we'd been suspended for 1 week. And it happened on a blooming Friday as well. Totally ruined the weekend as well. So this was a week later it happened. And on the Sunday morning, after this second or third appeal had gone in, once we had the strong appeal, we were really confident that we'd covered all of the bases. We woke up on Sunday morning. I checked my phone and it was like a hallelujah. We had that beautiful email that comes back and tells you that your account, your selling privileges have been reinstated. Oh my God, the relief was through the roof. And what was also nice as well is, in the meantime, we'd been having loads of stock going in. So we actually woke up to like one of our kind of record days, or start to a record day, essentially, because the unsuspension had actually happened overnight. And because we're selling in the US, you sell quite a lot overnight in the US. So we actually woke up to a nice chunk of change in sales as well. So that was a pretty happy Sunday, to be perfectly honest. So in total, it was around 9 days for our deactivation. What I will say, just to add, is that 9 days, that's quite quick. Okay. The reason why I think it was so quick is because of everything I've talked about here, but we are quite good at putting things together. Like I said, that evidentiary support was definitely, a contributing factor. Yes, of course, we were paying Get Unsuspended for the service, and we could have just used that. But my advice is be proactive, work with, I definitely recommend, of course, I recommend Anne Williams from Get Unsuspended. I'm not going to recommend anyone else because the proof is in the pudding. The service worked brilliantly for us, and we got a very, very quick reactivation. But I do think it's more on the unusual side that we were reactivated so quickly. I think if you ask Anne, she would say she would agree with that. I think most people are looking at minimum of 2 weeks, possibly longer, maybe up to 30 days, to get a really quick result as a result of unsuspension. So be realistic, guys, in if this happens to you, be prepared. It's why we always say make sure you've got 30 days worth of working capital for your business to be able to keep the lights on and pay the bills, especially if this is your only income stream. Always make sure that you have cash in the business to be able to pay bills, pay staff, pay credit cards, that type of thing. So, but 9 days suspended, deactivated, had a big impact. Took about 8 weeks for us to get back on track as a result, because we weren't buying. The staff weren't working. We did pay the staff during that period of time, but we did say that if it was going to go on, we guaranteed it for 30 days. We guaranteed the team for 30 days, but we did say if it goes much beyond that, we can't pay you endlessly. So the relief on that of having people that we trained and cared about, that were reliant on us from a financial point of view, hopefully we would have been able to find them something in a different part of the business, but you can't guarantee that. And we had to have those conversations. So just the relief when it came through. But like I said, I would absolutely, don't be scared to speak to account health. They're actually really helpful. I would engage a specialist, talk to Anne at Get Unsuspended. But I also just wouldn't sit on your bum and do anything. I would be proactive. I would be asking account health, what can I do to expedite this process? How can I speed up this process of getting reinstated? Speak to whoever you're going to use, hopefully Anne, in your suspension team. Ask them if there's anything you should be getting. Communication is key. Don't shut down. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't stick your head in the sand. It is really not going to help you, and that's the biggest advice I can give you. Don't panic. Engage a specialist. Don't sit on your bum. Don't rely on this as one income stream, and also make sure that you're not scared of speaking to account health. They want you selling. I think this is a really misconception that people think that every time they hit that suspended button that there's someone there, in Amazon laughing about it, thinking, haha, we got another seller. But it's really not the case. They don't want you suspended. They want you selling. They want to be collecting their referral fees. It's as simple as that. So, talk to the team at Account Health. It really, really can help you in expediting the process to reinstatement. So that was it. That was the day the musical was died on Amazon for us. I tempted the fate of the Amazon gods, but luckily we came out relatively unscathed. And of course, the first thing we did was as soon as that email came in, actually before I even checked the sales, I hit disbursement straight away for the money as well. So definitely top tip, make sure you're regularly dispersing as well on a regular basis, so you don't have big amounts of money sat in your Amazon account balance, for sure. But like I said, it was an experience. Overall, I can look back and with a little bit of humor and look on it now. It was scary at the time. I don't want to take light away from that, because it was scary. I was concerned, but ultimately, like I said, I have faith in the system. I do know that everything everything on Amazon is resolvable for the relentless. So please don't give up. You really do only fail when you give up, and let Amazon win in this sort of case as well, to be perfectly honest. So make sure you don't. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a scary suspended video. I wanted to give it a slightly different light to it, essentially, and going through the full process. Yes, of course, there was more to it in terms of the appeal and things like that, but I wanted to make a video from a positive point of view to show that if you do the right things, you take the right action, and you don't panic, that these things can be resolved, and hopefully resolved in a speedy manner. So if you have liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. It does mean the world. It means that you guys are enjoying the content that we're putting out. Hit that subscribe button. It means you'll get a notification whenever we release new content. And also make sure that you leave a comment. Have you been suspended? If so, how quickly did you get reinstated? Are you suspended at the moment? If you need any help, I'll put Anne's details in the comments for you as well. But overall, as ever, thanks for listening. See you soon.